Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Alderman Cottonham. Alderman Flowers. Here. Alderman Lampton.
Here.
Alderman Leslie Thompson.
Here.
Alderman Stringer.
Here.
The record shows that we are in attendance and able to transact the business of the town. Before we move forward with the budget, with the agenda, would there be any amendments?
Mayor, I'd like to add two things to the agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
One is the nuisance abatement policy, and the other is the ongoing project, or the current project at the Jonesboro Airport. And they're just two brief items. It's not going to be a lengthy.
Okay, would that be, take what?
Second.
Yes. The motion is.
Motion. I'd like to make a motion that the agenda be amended to include the nuisance abatement policy.
Okay.
And number two, I'd like to make one cumulative thing, or one broken down.
Let's just do it together.
Okay, and the current project at the Jonesboro Airport.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Motion second. Yes. Do we have any public comments in reference to that, the items that just heard? Hearing none. Any discussion? Question? All in favor? Let's make sure that it is unanimous. Okay. You can add those. Let's make it 9A and 9B.
Which one is that?
Nuisance abatement, 9A. Carrying out for project B. Okay, as before we move in, I want to say, as always, we thank those of you citizens who have taken time scheduled to come out to be with us today, especially in light of the fact that this is a special call meeting. You know, it's a little bit different and right after your lunch hour, but it just says that you are concerned and interested in what we're doing here in town. And so, as I said, thank you for taking time out to be with us. The first item then would be Lieutenant Compliance Questionnaire. This was brought before the board a month or so ago, and the problem that we had with it at that time was that what the auditors are asking us to do is to pass this questionnaire that was actually done on the ship of the past council. I know that there was some concern that some of you had to sign off on something that you were not a part of. We have another situation now that calls for us to find a way to be somewhat creative to be able to get this done. I read each of the items, each of the questions, and I talked with the attorney today, and he drew up a resolution that I haven't had time to read, but I think that it's going to be allowing you to be able, should you agree, to allow for me to take this to our auditors so that we might be able to get finished our audit. It's something that they say that they need. Now, some of these questions in the questionnaire, I don't think should have been answered in the affirmative. Some of them have been. I've gone over them, and I think there were about 3 that I had some concerns about. I want you to look at them to see if there's something else that you would have concerns about, because we want to be able to move forward here. And if you turn to page, I think it's page 2, it says something about the state budget requirement. It says that the state agency was complied with the state agency has complied with the budgetary requirements, revised statute 3933, and I'm saying that there's one requirement that I think we really did not meet, the council did not meet, and it was that the budget was actually adopted outside of the timeline that it should have been, as far as the days are required. So I want to make a note to that effect before we move forward. And right below that, number 12, it says, we have maintained our accounting records in such a manner as to provide evidence of legal compliance and the preparation of annual financial statements to comply with RS 24-513. I have not been presented yet with the facts. You know, we just came out of the 3 or 4 month audit. They have not yet come to me and said, these are the problems. For most of you know that we're now under an investigation as it relates to these books and these records. So I have reason to believe that should not be in the affirmative. I have not seen that yet. It has not come to me even from the sheriff's office yet. But I would like to just add that note to that, check that to be no, and say that we have reason to believe that has not been done. Again, number 15 says that we have had our financial statements audited in a timely fashion according to the statute, and we have not. As a matter of fact, we are about to complete that now. We are about 90 days, I think, out of that, out of the timeline. We expect that to be finished by next week or so, but it has not been finished to date. So therefore, that should be a no as well. And if you have any other concerns, I'll call for you to say what they are. But those were the items I saw that needed to be addressed. And if you can read the resolution and feel comfortable with
Mayor, can we take a look at 13?
yes.
All non-exempt governmental records are available as public record and have been retained for at least 3 years.
Yes,
As required by RS 44, da-da-da-da-da.
Yes.
I think that should be a no.
Do you have any?
Ordinance 538 is one, you know, that couldn't be located.
It's been located now.
But up
Is
until when this was submitted, it hadn't been.
Okay.
It wasn't in the
Right.
building.
Okay. Then we'll make a note of that as well. Resolution reading as follows. While you look over your papers, have a special meeting of the Board of Aldermen of the Town of Jonesboro duly called, held on the 24th of March, 2011 at 1:00 p.m. where a quorum was present and voting. The following resolution was offered by and seconded by. Whereas Louisiana law requires that Louisiana compliance questionnaire for the period July 1st, 2009 through June 30, 2010 be prepared by the mayor of the Town of Jonesboro, the Chief Executive Officer of the Town of Jonesboro, and his staff. And whereas the required questionnaire has been prepared by Mayor Thompson and must, prior to submission to the legislative auditor, be submitted to and approved by the Board of Aldermen. And whereas only one of the members of the current Board of Aldermen were in office during the period covered by the questionnaire, and none of the members of the Board of Aldermen were involved in preparation of the questionnaire, the Board of Aldermen cannot speak to the accuracy of the facts represented in the questionnaire, but can acknowledge that it has been submitted to them for adoption. Be it resolved, and that's what we're asking you to do today, so we might be able to move forward with the business of the audit.
Well, just as a comment, based on the fact that things are in investigative process, I can't attest to the accuracy of any of it. And I am the council member that was on the prior board, previous board.
Okay.
If you look at, if you look at what we're required to do, and that was why the resolution was prepared, you're not in this resolution adopting the accuracy of it or saying that it's true or not. All you're doing is you're doing the two things that are required. It's required to be presented to you, which he has done, okay? And it's required to be adopted by. That's not approved by. It's basically to say that you're acknowledging that it's been presented. And again, I tried to make the resolution specifically to address the concern that you would have. I don't want anybody to say I'm approving, I'm thinking everything in there is accurate. Now again, it says what it says. If you don't want to vote for it, or any of you don't want to vote, that's certainly your prerogative. I'm just pointing out that I tried to address in the resolution the fact that you're not saying I'm thinking everything is correct, because you may say, I don't think some of that's correct. But again, I don't think by adopting it, I'm thinking adopting is not the same as approving, what you're basically saying. But again, I'm not trying to influence you, I'm just basically trying to say that's, the tenor of the resolution was to say, we acknowledge that we got it, and of course, attached to the resolution, what you need to put in the minutes is the questionnaire as he's changed it. So there's been at least 4 things that have been changed. So, and then it has a blank, because the mayor, the copy that I had not been signed. So I would suggest that before you vote on it, the mayor needs to check those 4 things that are, he's changing from yes to no, and then that's what you need to adopt the resolution or not. But again, that's trying to address those things.
But thank you, legal counsel, because that's what we need. We know the situation. We know that we gotta get beyond where we are, and he has presented it in a way that gives us an opportunity to do so, so that we might be able to conclude our budget, and so our audit, so that we might be able to release the funds, state funds needed to operate, so that we can get beyond the problems that we're having, and so, thank you for that.
Is this the only holdup with the audit?
What?
Is this the only holdup with the audit?
That's all I know.
Everything else is ready?
They said they'll be here to talk to me on Monday.
Before adopting, you need to fill in the date with the changes that you made.
Okay.
Put that in the resolution, so it's all, because you hadn't signed it. And of course, the one I looked at still had yeses where you say you're changing.
That's right. It's number 1, 12,
13 and 15.
13, and 15. Could we get a motion to adopt the resolution with those amendments noted, those changes, modifications, number 1, 12, 13, 15, and change to no with explanation and fact?
I make a motion that we adopt that resolution.
Motion and second, any discussion? Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. We had on the agenda GNL CDC land purchase. That item we're going to ask that it be tabled. I want you to know while we put it here, we are trying to resolve the issue and the confusion that came up with the sale of that land. Dr. Simmons could not be here today, and we need for him to be in attendance. We have been in touch, and we've talked with the sheriff's office, we've talked with attorneys. We have found out the way we believe that we can get this all resolved so that it takes away the impression that there was something done that shouldn't have been done. We're going to make sure that that's right, so that there will be no further lingering suspicion in the minds of anybody that something's not done above board. Okay, but could you get a motion to table that?
I'll make the motion to table that. Second.
Any discussion? Question? All in favor? Any opposition? Motion carried. The last time we were here, I think a month or so ago, we talked about surplus land sale, the piece of property. What?
7.
Oh, alleyway abandonment. Okay, do you have that in your packet? This was the alleyways over by, where's that, the courthouse? Veteran Court. Okay.
As you recall, the last time I prepared an ordinance for you that abandoned part of one of the 2 alleys. At your direction, I went ahead and modified the ordinance where I abandoned all the alleyways. So in that entire block, if this is passed, you will not have any alleyways, and the property will revert to the adjoining owners on either side.
But we still maintain the easement, right?
Now, man, if you, unless we have a written easement, but we would not have a written, unless we have a written right-of-way, the only easement we would have exists because it's an alleyway. If we get rid of the alleyways, then we will not have an easement for what's over there. Now, again, we could, if there's a question about something being there, I would suggest that before we abandon it, we get a right-of-way, but.
Well, based on the Public Works Director's analysis, and I don't know who all he contacted and who all looked at it, but there's nothing there. There's no sewage, water, gas, or anything.
Okay, we introduced, no, we haven't introduced.
We introduced, and then you need to adopt it at the next meeting.
With someone like to introduce that ordinance?
I'd like to introduce the ordinance to abandon alleyways.
We don't need a second.
I don't need a second at this point. All the clerk will need to do is you need to publish the title of the ordinance only. And then I would assume you set the meeting on the public hearing on it 5 minutes before your next regular meeting. But the ordinance title needs to be published.
Okay. Next item, we're now down to CPA surplus land sale. Okay, I want to get the piece of property that we talked about beside or behind the Watson House or 167. We already declared that piece of land surplus, and we want to move forward now to the acceptance of publication and acceptance of quotes, bids. Correct?
Well, what you would want to do is now you've declared it surplus. Then what I'd suggest you do is you put it up and advertise it for bids. I'd suggest that you set a minimum price on it. You know it's already, you paid $3,000 for it, plus you know you're going to spend some money advertising for it. So I'd suggest you set a minimum price, and then you say we'll receive bids in writing up until day X, and we'll open bids on day Y, whatever, to look at them. You reserve the right to reject all bids. Since it's a small piece of property, you're basically going to be looking at money. When you recall when we did the things for the Walmart or some things that had some industrial development potential, we said we're not only just going to consider money, we consider the number of jobs and the revenue. That's really not a problem with this instance, so I just suggest you advertise it for bids. We'll accept the sealed bids, set a minimum price, and then open the bids and see what you got. You don't, just because you're putting it out and saying submit bids, it's not something that we're going to take the bids, it just is. But just, if you're only going to, if you got to have at least $3,500 for it, I'd set that as a minimum bid, and you cut out the people bidding $500, you have to wade through, but that's your bid. So it's already been declared surplus. This is just to advertise it for bids and set the date when the deadline for the bid and when you want to open.
So what we need is a motion to advertise the bid, including all of the things he just said, because he's going to draw it up for us. That's what we need to do with that.
Advertise the bid.
Second.
You want to set a minimum price?
Minimum
Minimum price
price.
of $3,500.
$3,500. I want to make some money. Okay.
And I'm assuming you want the bids to be opened at the next meeting of the Board of Aldermen and reserve the right to reject all.
Right. Thank you. Motion, do we get a second? Second. Any discussion? Question? All in favor? Motion carried. Any opposed? Now we're down to CPA interview. I guess I was trying to rush trying to get down to that. I just want to say that most of you are aware that we went to Baton Rouge about 30 days ago or so. We met with the panel, 3 panelists that made up of the legislative auditor, the Attorney General, and the State Treasurer. And they made some recommendations and gave us 30 days to get those in place. And we have met all of those obligations, all the requirements. We're really excited about how fast we were able to do that. And I think the auditors will seem to be very impressed with some of the other things we've been able to put in place. The final thing that we needed to do was to, well, the 4 things. One was that we would hire an accountant in-house. And of course, we did that. She's sitting right there on the second row with her hands up right there. Then we were also, it was suggested that we should change our software, that our system was very, very old and outdated. As of the 16th of March, we took care of that. And they recommended that we get training in here, professional training. I don't know if that's one of the trainings back there, but they've been here training and they're doing what they do there. But the 4th and final thing was that we needed to hire a CPA firm, one that would be able to come in and give us the oversight systems that we need on a monthly basis, and we'll determine how long we need to do that based on how fast we are understanding and doing what we need to do. But I went to this Tanya Wade a week or so ago, and I went to her to talk with her because she was she's familiar with our program. She was hired to do some work for us on last year, At the end of that shift, at the end of that work time, we had some problems with the, let's say, auditors opting to accept some numbers, but that was not based on her work. That was based on the fact that 2007, 2008, they had some concerns about those numbers. Having spoken with the auditors on yesterday or the day before, they have said to me that that 2007 and 2008, they did the compilations themselves, and they feel pretty good about that. The new accountant, Ms. Houston, that we have here is actually responsible and taking care of the present compilations for this fiscal year. The year that now we have to be most concerned about, that we really have to get on and bring up to speed, is going to be 2009. And we have worked out a plan to get that done. But I wanted for Ms. Wade to come to answer any questions that the council may have, because I told her that I needed for her to be in touch with the legislative auditors. I think that that's already transpiring. They've been doing that. The reason that I wanted that to happen was because we wanted to make sure that we were doing what it was that they were recommending, and that we were on point. At the end of the day, we'd come up with something, somebody's doing this, and they thought we should be doing that. But Tanya, if you'd like to come up, we'll give you an opportunity and give the board an opportunity to ask any questions they may have. Are there any questions?
Well, I have a couple.
Hey, go ahead.
Hi, nice to meet you too. I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. I would rather meet you in a private setting and discuss some things in detail, but I wasn't afforded that opportunity. But based on today, I'll ask, have you been in contact with Ms. Wade? I mean, Ms. Williamson, Ms. Margie?
Ms. Margie, not recently, but I have talked to someone at the legislative auditor's office about what we will be doing.
Okay. And in regard to what you and Ms. Houston will work together to try to collaborate and move things forward. And
Right. One of my partners, Stephanie, she's the QuickBooks advisor, and she's been helping Ms. Houston get the current posting started, and then from here on, we're gonna come in probably at least monthly and help with the reconciliations until they're all caught up to date, and then go over the general ledger and see if there's anything that needs to be journal entries or moved, or anything else that needs to be posted on, including all of the bank accounts.
Okay.
And then we were assuming we were gonna help with the year end. The year end's right around the corner. June 30th we'll start probably in July, helping get the year end ready.
Okay. Well, based on the activity that you've already completed, or the work that you've done, do you have like just an approximate time frame that it would take to get things in order?
Not yet, because we haven't seen what all Ms. Houston has done. I mean, we just installed it, last week or something, and got her started on everything, getting it set up and all the accounts and everything. So that was what we were gonna do, possibly after the meeting, meet with her and see where she was and what needs to be done next.
I just have one more question. It's about the QuickBooks. Some people say it's good for this, some people say it's not. Based on y'all's professional opinion, what is the advantage to using QuickBooks for municipal accounting? I know what we have is antiquated, I'm aware of that, but what is the advantage at this point of incorporating QuickBooks over?
Now, there's plenty of softwares out there that can handle municipality and governmental accounting. Stephanie is a QuickBooks advisor. She takes the tests on, she's up to date on from 2006 to 2011 on any of the QuickBooks software. It's not in a batch system, so once you post something, it's in a general ledger. You can, once you finish a period, a month, or a year, or a quarter, you can set a kind of a closing date to where you can't, I won't say you can't go back, but it will notify you, it says, hey, you're posting to something that's kind of already closed. And so you would have to like enter passwords. So that should trigger, hey, I don't need to go back.
So it's user friendly?
Yeah.
Area.
And, I mean, it's just, this bank wrecking part of it is, I mean, it highlights stuff and, you know, literally puts checks by them, and so it's real easy to use. And several other towns that we do help or do the audits for, and even others that we don't, they'll even call in and this isn't the only town that uses it.
It also makes you have to use a particular fund to write a check. So there's no way you can write a check for, there's a way you can do it, but you're doing it on purpose. The general fund out of the sewer fund. That kind of
So you don't have co-mingling.
thing. Right, you have to get out of one company and get into the other one.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Appreciate what you're trying to do.
Thank you, James. All right, we're really excited about where we are. I mean, we've come a long, long, long way. And I think after it's all said and done, when folks really see, because everybody wants to know where we are, and we do too. And as soon as we can get there, I still say that this town is very, very blessed in that we are not having a lot of the problems that other municipalities are having. However, some of the ones that we have are pronounced to the point where you wonder where you really want to be. But when this is all said and done, and the numbers are in place, and that we no longer have that possibility of the potential of co-mingling, as you just mentioned, the funds, and we can see what's going on and exactly, we're going to be in good shape. And after you finish that, after these numbers are all, Mr. Houston get finished with that, it'll help us too to be able to zoom right in on as to whether or not we're having a 5% rule issues as it relates to the budgetary act, law and all that. And we're getting there. For those of us who will be patient, for those of us who will just wait it out, my mom always said that the darkest time was right before the break of dawn, and that's pretty much where we are. And we appreciate having you. We'll talk more about it. Yeah. 9-8? Yes, okay, come on, Councilor.
Mayor, I presented, I'm sure I presented my colleagues, you have a copy, our clerk has a copy, and what I'd like to do, is I'd like to get some clarification on the nuisance abatement policy that you have in regard to each council member's district. Mr. Jefferson talked to me this morning at work, and I just wanted some clarification, and I wanted to know if you have a written policy, if we could get a copy of it, and that way we would all, I didn't understand the way that it was explained to me.
Okay, I think for certain, I've seen a nuisance ordinance that's on the book right now. I think where you can get one of those, but I think what may have confused you, I talked with Mr. Jefferson today, and he told me that, you would ask a question in reference to that, and what I think he was doing was actually trying to make sure that as he's going out and being one of those designees, that if he sees a property that maybe needs some attending to, that maybe the council, because he brought me in a couple of sheets the other day with a couple of properties on it, and I said, well, who distributed that? Then would you first go and talk to that person? I mean, that's just courtesy. That may not be a part of the policy. But would you go and talk to that person so that person can kind of understand what we're about to go to? And I think that's all he was doing. But certainly you can get a copy of what we have.
I just wanted clarification, that was all.
All right, no doubt. Is that it? You can go to the next.
Yes, so we can go to the next
Okay,
one.
go ahead.
We just brief questions. Mayor, on this airport project, that's the current project, is it like 500,000 or?
I'm not sure which one we're talking about.
The major project is ongoing right now.
Come on, Gary, somebody, that we're talking about the apron?
Extending the apron, the taxiway.
The taxiway and apron? Yes.
Well, this is the only question I have in regard to that. If the federal government is providing 95% funding,
That's right.
okay, and then the state is supposed to provide the other?
That's my understanding.
Okay, so when we get all of our accounting squared away, then if we get back online to receive the funding, then it will be taken care of in
Yes.
that regard?
Yes, as a matter of fact, when I was talking to the engineer the other day, I was somewhat surprised because I don't know that our federal funds are being held up. This is a state issue, as I understand it. So I talked to somebody, I think it was Dennis Hood, I don't know if he's in here today, but he said that after having spoken with Tanya Shooting Council, she's even saying that the state funds are not being held up. And that's just a new system that they have that they're trying to work the kinks out. Well, either way it goes, I mean, I haven't pressed it one way or the other too much, because we're so close now, we are, and I haven't been bombarded with telephone calls with folks saying we need some money, so I hadn't, bothered with it, but, since we will be offered the non-compliance in just a minute, it won't be an issue, for us at all.
So it'll be taken,
Yes,
that one home?
okay,
I
yes.
just wanna know where the 5% is coming from.
No,
I thought there is no match we have to make.
no,
That was,
Okay, I understood.
no,
I thought I
5%,
understood Brad said we had a 5% match.
no, not a
and
match.
that's the state
Right, that's the
responsibility.
state's responsibility to take care of
And
it.
the funds will come to us and then, or
Yes,
will they go,
right,
how
right,
would that
they'll
work?
come to us, because then we'll be able to replace the money that we, borrowed the other day, to put it back where it came from.
Well, I need to ask one more question in
Yes.
regard to federal funds that come in.
Mhm.
Will Ms. Wade be responsible for making allocations of federal funds, or is there somebody on staff? Will it be Ms. Houston, or how are we gonna take care of federal funding?
We'll certainly have to, as you said, you're creating new categories. If we don't have one in there right now for federal, funds to come into, we'll create one, no doubt.
But somebody of their,
Some-
they will, but one of those two people will be responsible
Yes.
for allocation of funds,
Yes.
is it? Okay.
Yes, yes,
All right.
all right. Any other questions?
No, sir, that's all right.
All right.